Well, hello everybody. It is the beginning of August. It is August 3rd today, and we just got back from another trip. We were away for, I guess, 5 days this time, and we had a really bad thunderstorm, well, more like a rainstorm, come through last night when we were getting home. We kind of came in the middle of it. Right before we left, we had a really bad storm where the winds just came straight through. My green giants were laying on their side. My Rose of Sharon over here were just about laying on their side. And I have some string lights down over here. Just a lot of things that are in need of attention. Drooping plants, things that need deadheaded, trimmed back. I have all of my potted plants in a baby pool right over there. I'll show you what I do when I go away on vacation. So those need put out, and just a lot of random jobs. I have some fertilizing to do. So I thought that I would start today and kind of work through the week with you and just kind of doing some summer garden maintenance. I don't have anything to plant. I'm not moving anything around. Just kind of cleaning things up, getting this patio put back together again. And I don't have a ton of time every day. Life is busy with kids, work, house, dogs, all of the things that I know you guys know about. So I'm just gonna try to bite things off a little bit at a time. So today I thought we'd start with getting my potted plants put back into place, getting some things deadheaded and fertilized, and we'll kind of see where we can go from there. So I'm going to flip you around and just show you what I've got going on, and we're going to start to get this place back in order. So I am going to be very realistic with you today. I'm not going to hide things. Things are looking, like real life. I have some cosmos here that are very pretty, but they do need to be deadheaded a little bit. So I might work on that today. I have a big pile of brush here from right before I left for vacation. I was trying to do some cleanup from the storm that hit right before we left, so that needs put in bags. I have empty saucers that the plants need put back into place. Over here, there's plants that need deadheaded. Those black-eyed Susans in particular. My bird bath needs cleaned out, although it does look kind of pretty with the crepe myrtle blooms just kind of floating on top of the water. My crepe myrtle is looking very beautiful right now. It's drying out from the rainstorm overnight. It gets super droopy when it gets heavy with rain, so it's just starting to perk back up, but it is looking quite beautiful right now. There are some string lights over here that need rehung that got knocked off from the extreme winds that we had. I think I have some tomato plants that are falling all over here that need some staking. I should probably water these containers. I did plant some pumpkin seeds in here, but I don't see, actually I might see a little sprout back in there. Just kind of an experiment to see if I can get these pumpkins going. I planted them right before I left, so maybe not the best time to plant pumpkins. I have some willow trellises that had fallen off the wall that I also need to find a home for. And you can see lots of empty plant saucers and containers. These plants are looking pretty good right here on my patio. My in-laws were here while we were gone, and they were watching the dogs and just kind of keeping up with some of the watering of the containers. But in order to make things easier for whoever is staying at my house and taking care of things, this is what I do. I have a baby pool that my dogs also use. It kind of is a double duty, but I put all of my potted plants in the baby pool, and then I just fill it with water. Right now it is super waterlogged, so I need to get these guys out ASAP. But usually I just say just kind of keep a couple inches of water in the baby pool and they should be fine. And they were fine. I just need to come through and deadhead and fertilize. I have 2 dahlia plants right there that did just fine. I will move things that I think will dry out quickly more into the shade. So I keep this baby pool kind of in this shadier spot just so there's less stress on the plants. And these dahlias are in grow bags that dry out pretty quickly. So that's why I move those over here to the shade. So we're gonna disperse all of those containers. I have containers over here that I was growing cosmos in, and they just started to flop and not look good. So I decided to take them out because I'm trying to make my life a little bit easier and not have so many containers and things to take care of all over the place. So although it's tempting to plant something else in these, I think that I'm just going to get rid of them. I'm gonna disperse the soil in other places. It's pretty old soil, or I may, I don't know, put it in a big container that I can use again at some point. But these guys are gonna go, and yeah, I won't have to worry about them or look at them. I need to do some cleanup. There's leaves everywhere. My grill is out of place. Definitely some real life things going on. And then I have things that need put back into place on my deck. So I think that my goals today might just be to get my patio cleaned up and my plants put back into place and get things deadheaded and fertilized. And then we may address this garden tomorrow, and we'll try to kind of work our way around the whole yard and out into the front yard. And hopefully by the end of this, things will be looking a little bit better than they are now. So cosmos could be deadheaded just about every day. I do not get out every day to deadhead my cosmos. This is actually the first time I'm deadheading them this season. I did kind of start them a little bit later, so they just really are starting to get going. But I'm just gonna give them a fresh deadheading. I'm lucky if I get out once a week to do this stuff, kind of rotate through my plants, which is not a big deal. And I'm not going to give these any fertilizer because cosmos really prefer poor soil. They don't need a lot of fertilizer. I had these planted in some soil that had been sitting around for a while and didn't even add any fertilizer to it because they just prefer to not be babied. So, but these are so pretty. These are the Rubenza, the Fandango cosmos. And they're just such a pretty, dark, almost like magenta ruby colored cosmos. Just so pretty. And these are all deadheaded, looking so beautiful. I just love those so much. I definitely will grow these again next year for sure. So my begonias do not need deadheaded. They are so beautiful, just fill in beautifully, never need deadheaded. But my geraniums are a different story. They need some attention. They're not gonna have too many blooms left when I am done with this, but I'm just gonna deadhead them while they're still in this baby pool. And then I will get them out and give them a nice, good fertilizer. And hopefully within like a week or so, they should be blooming out again beautifully. Our weather is looking pretty moderate in the mid 80s. Lots of rain and thunderstorm potential too. So hopefully that'll be good weather to keep them hydrated and keep them blooming. Sometimes when it gets too hot, they don't bloom as well. So hoping for some good blooms in the next couple of weeks from my geraniums. So I've shared this before, but I just use a Miracle Grow water-soluble fertilizer. Typically you can do this once a week or every other week. This is only the second time that I am fertilizing my plants this summer. So it's just been a busy time, and I'm gonna use almost a full scoop, of the larger scoop, and just put it in my watering can, and I'm gonna let that fill up. And then I'm just gonna take off some of the, yucky leaves that are all dried and brown, and just try to clean up the plants a little bit before I set them all back out. My watering can has a hole in the bottom. I discovered the other day, so I may need to find a new watering can. I apologize about all the sirens. It's the middle of the day, so there's a lot of noises going on out there. Now, these have been soaking, and there go my dogs. These have been soaking, so the soil is nice and moist and will soak up these nutrients really well, as if they were super dry. Then sometimes it takes a while to really get the soil to absorb the moisture and the nutrients, but it's just like primed for this fertilizer. So I'm just going to keep going through all of my plants. This one actually goes right there, easy peasy, and I'm going to get the rest of them and get these guys put back into place. I do fear my geraniums might have gotten a little too much water by soaking in that pool, since it was so full from the rain. Sometimes they don't love too much water, but hopefully they can recover pretty good. Okay, that hole was a little too big and losing a little too much water. So actually we're gonna put the fertilizer in. I'm gonna use my small watering can and use a smaller scoop since it's a lot smaller, and finish up. I don't have too many more to go, at least from the baby pool. I have all my other containers on my deck and patio that should be fertilized also, and on my front porch. These begonias have done so well for me. They were teeny tiny little plugs when I put them in these little pots, and they have grown so nicely. They have filled out so well and just do so good in sun or shade. I think I may repeat them next year. They bloomed better for me than my geraniums that I had in these last year. I am going to try to deal with this brush. This is mostly from my Rose of Sharon hedge right over here, and my crepe myrtle. I had to cut a bunch of branches that were falling all over into the garden that were not going to be, salvageable. So I am going to try to clean up this mess, and then all of my containers for the patio that were in the baby pool are fertilized, and I'll get those set out and my lights hung, and we'll see what else we get to today. I only have about 20 minutes left before I need to go in and start dinner for the night. This is a little trick that I like to do with these bags. I put a black garbage bag in them, so then I don't have to try to dump the bag into the garbage bag. It just makes it a little bit easier. We get so many leaves from the birch trees in our backyard. It's like fall almost all summer, and if there's a drought, they just shed like crazy. But this is also from my debris pile, but I just thought it would be easier to sweep it up instead of blow it all into my beds. A little less messy. It got so hot that my phone overheated, so I'm gonna keep it over there in the shade. But I just want to get these hung. I can't quite remember how high they were before they fell. I think they were all the way up here. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, and then I'm not exactly sure where this one was. I see a hummingbird over there by my crepe myrtle. Love it when that happens. I feel like there was something like this, but I'm gonna have to double check with my husband because he was the one who hung them originally and he might remember. They look a little wonky on that wall. I'm not sure if that's how they were or not, but I'll double check. These, I think I may have to put them in the garage or maybe slide them into here. These were my old trellises that I had on the side of my house. I apologize, I don't know if you're in screen, if I'm in screen or not. Okay, I'm gonna get my geraniums back up on the potting bench here. I think I need to move this pea gravel. I had bought that for my geraniums, but that was when they hadn't grown so much. I was gonna use them as a mulch around the base to help retain water. But now they've grown so much, I don't know if I really need the pea gravel anymore. There's so much water in these saucers from all of the rain yesterday. I'm just kind of leaving it there for the plants to soak it up. Just gonna move this to the ground for right now, just to get it off of the potting bench. And then I have a brush that I'll just brush it off real quick with. Still very wet from last night. Probably could be almost hosed off. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go grab the hose. So I have this Misty Spires salvia that I love, and I put it in a nursery container so that I can kind of control the water better in this crock back here. And I think this is the side that did not get as much sun because it's a little bit more bare. So I am gonna face that side out to try to get it to fill out a little bit better. I had a white profusion zinnia in here that really did not do well after my first vacation, so I got rid of that. And then I have a wire vine here that I'm going to put in here, and I need to try to find another container for this one that I can transplant the wire vine into. I think that for the time being I might use this little container here just to prop it up so that you can see it a little bit better and it gets a little more sun. So I think that that works pretty good for right now. It's a little taller than it should be, but I think it'll be okay. getting a little bit late, so I'm gonna hurry and put my begonias back on the little end tables. Good morning, everybody. It is the next day, and we're gonna try to get a little bit of work done out here in the gardens. I got all of my containers back here fertilized yesterday and set back out from their vacation holding spot. So things are looking a little bit better. I still have my trash bin that I'm gonna use today. We had a bunch of kids here last night shortly after I finished. I had to go in and make dinner quick. Each kid, well, two of my kids had 3 to 4 friends over, so we had a lot of teenagers here. So it was a busy night. We had a fire, which we haven't had in a while, so that was really nice. But this morning I'm gonna try to get a little bit more work done before I have to go. I have a patient to see today, an occupational therapist for home health, so I have one visit to do today, and I'm trying to get some things done inside and just balancing all of the things. But I do want to come out here and I want to address my Rose of Sharon a little bit. I'm constantly seems like having to trim on my Rose of Sharon because they just are so prone to flopping in the storms. Whenever we get big rainstorms, windstorms come through, they just, you can see maybe more from this angle, they start to really flop over my perennial bed here. So I like to kind of try to keep them trimmed back a little bit. I think in future years, I'm gonna have to see if I can cut these shorter and keep them thinned out a little bit more, just to give my whole perennial bed down here some more light and some more room to grow. There's maybe a few things to trim back in my perennial border here. Over here, my salvia is looking gorgeous. It has not flopped over yet. It's looking so beautiful behind these boxwood here. And I'm getting lots of zinnias in bloom finally that are looking so pretty. I'm getting a dahlia that is gonna start to bloom soon. That's the Marm dahlia, really pretty orange dahlia. And I also have a sunflower in bloom. This is the desert sun sunflower. It's kind of hidden from that front shoot there, but isn't that so pretty? So lots of pretty things happening here at the very beginning of August. My crepe myrtle looking so pretty right now. But let's get to work. I don't have a ton of time. I'm just gonna go through and trim back the branches that are kind of leaning over into my bed a little too much and just like really arching. Once they start arching, they really don't start picking themselves back up. So I'm just gonna cut them down to the next kind of branch, making myself more work. I'm gonna have more debris to clean up, but that's okay. I'm also cutting off some of the flowers, which pains me, but oh, I just whacked myself in the face. But they just really do need trimmed, and there's a lot more buds coming. So usually these don't start really taking off until August, somewhere, you know, around now. So hopefully I still get a good amount of flowers on these guys. more debris to clean up. Oh boy. I have this really pretty verbena right here. This is the vanity verbena, but it's getting pretty floppy and is broken off in several places. So I just like to come and kind of clean it up every once in a while. I do have it staked so that it won't completely fall into my main walkway here, but sometimes it just needs a little extra cleaning up. So I'm just going to go through and trim that quick. I have these rudbeckia back in here and some coneflower back in here that's not looking the greatest. It's getting crowded out by all of these taller perennials. Next year, I am going to divide my bee balm and move, I think, my agastache to the back where the foxglove is, and move the foxglove to a different area, just because the coneflower in here and rudbeckia and the daisies all get just too crowded by some of these taller plants. So for now, I think I'm just gonna come in and deadhead the coneflower, the rudbeckia, and the daisies a little bit. Oh, this agastache smells so good. It smells like licorice while I'm here working. I also had some basil back in here that I planted early in the season that quickly got crowded out by everything else, so it never had a chance to take off. So yeah, these daisies are unfortunately, I think, about done. They're just not getting enough sun back here. Verbena is cleaned up a little bit. I deadheaded what I could back in there, and I think I'm gonna leave my bee balm up for a little bit because I like the interest that it gives. They are out of bloom at this point, but I think that the dried seed heads kind of provide a little bit of interest, and right behind my agastache here. So I'm gonna leave that alone, and I'm just gonna go down the border and do the same thing, just deadhead some of these perennials and maybe stake up a few things that need it. Like, I don't know if I can stake that verbena up anymore. This is happening to my rudbeckia, which I don't know. I think it's just root competition from the Rose of Sharon, but they are wilting. The stems are wilting. It seems if I come in and give them a really good watering, it helps, but that's a little bit disappointing to me. It's happening to this one as well. So I'll have to keep that in mind, that they just probably need a lot more water. So I'm just gonna go through and get going. This little lime hydrangea is looking so pretty. I don't want this to turn into a garden tour. I have very little time, so I gotta get to work. This verbena is flopping a little too much, so I'm just gonna put these bamboo stakes crisscross right in front of it. The ground is nice and soft from all the rain that we've had, so they go in real easy. And then they just kind of fall over the stake, and you can still see the rudbeckia behind it because they're just kind of airy and wispy. So that's what's nice about them. My hosta here, I'm just gonna trim the spent bloom heads, and then I'm just gonna take off some of the real brown and crispy leaves that have gotten a little too much sun. This spot is a little bit 50-50. They just get a little too much sun right here. And I'm just gonna come and trim up the heuchera a little bit. It's not looking too bad, but it's not growing real good because I think it just got too shaded out by the hydrangeas once they started to flop. And I'm just gonna trim some of the really brown flowers on the hydrangea. This is the wee white hydrangea, and it can get pretty crispy once the middle to end of summer hits. which is what has happened. And sometimes they will throw out a new flower head occasionally, which is always nice. I think that that's looking a little bit better, just a little bit fresher. Okay, we have the main border somewhat cleaned up, and I want to move over to my crepe myrtle bed here. I think that I'm gonna just trim up this this Limetta hydrangea a little bit. It's looking real crispy. And come around here, you'll see that I still have this big pile of debris that I will deal with at some point here. But I want to come in and trim up my Indian summer rudbeckia a little bit. It is pretty floppy, and I think if I give it a trim, the new buds will really start to push through. So besides that, I think everything else is looking pretty good. The spirea, I could come and deadhead the brown crispy flowers here, which I may do. The penstemon, I like to leave up just for that interest of the seed heads right there. And then I just have a bunch of foxglove coming in for next year, and some really pretty zinnias. These are the Zenita white zinnia, looking really good right now. They don't need any attention. So yeah, just those few things, and then I may empty the bird bath and refill that. Things are looking a little bit better in here, a little more tidy. I see a butterfly over on my agastache. It's pretty. I love it when I see butterflies, hummingbirds. So pretty. Okay, a little bit of a distraction, but things are looking better. I refilled my bird bath, cleaned that up. I just kind of deadheaded the Indian summer rudbeckia. It's kind of just flopping all over the place, but I don't know, I kind of like it how it just kind of falls. It's just getting a little too much shade. I did deadhead my spirea a little bit. Maybe I'll get another little flush of blooms with that. And my hydrangea, my Limetta hydrangea, is looking a little bit better. I did not cut everything off. I left some things on for, again, a little bit of interest, but it's definitely looking a little bit more tidy. So let's go look over in my shade bed and see what's going on over there. I think that I'm just gonna try to tackle a few things in here before I call it for the day and I have to go in and get ready. Things aren't looking too bad in here. I don't really have too much trimming. I did weed not too long ago, although the weeds pop up pretty quickly these days. You can see some right there. I am very sad because I lost my Brunera. I lost both of my Brunera already. This one I got from my aunt, and it was a teeny tiny little plug, and that is thriving. But this one and the one down the way I lost, and this happened to me before a couple years ago, so I didn't try them again, but they just are so finicky for me in this area. I think that they must just not get nearly enough water. Maybe I just need to water them, every single day. I was on vacation when the one down the way died, and then this one died apparently when I was away again. So I don't know what to do about that, but that is sad to me. I do need to come in and trim this clematis. It was climbing up this tree and it finally fell. So it fell all over my Sun King Aurelia. So I just need to get that cut back. And I have an anemone right here that I need to put in the ground quick. This was from winter sowing. I think it's probably about time that that gets planted. And then for the most part, I think that everything else is okay in this shady bed. So let's do a couple of those things and then we'll move on to my holly bed, and then I think we'll call it quits for today. That did not want to come out. This is the pink saucer anemone I grew it from seed. I have another one over here. I think that it stays a little bit on the shorter side compared to my September charm anemone in the back there. It has really pretty pink flowers. I think I'm also gonna trim back this bleeding heart. It is about done and just falling all over this hosta. I have a wee hosta back here that you can't even really see. So I'm just gonna make the call and trim this back. These usually fade out in midsummer anyway. This one's just kind of hanging on by a thread, and I'm just gonna go through and trim some of my foxglove foliage that is looking pretty ratty too, just to kind of clean things up a little bit. Now you can actually see my hosta here. We need to deal with this beast here. Look at this clematis, it's huge. Too big for this trellis. I really want to move this to the side of my house if I can get trellises that would fit these guys. These are the pink mink clematis that get about 9 feet tall, I think. So there we go. See if I can get it to stay. Well, for now anyway, it looks better. Carrying around my handy dandy bag here. I have a trash bag in here, so I'm just putting it all directly into the trash. So this area looks a little bit more tidy, just a little bit. I got my anemone planted. I'm not sure if that'll actually bloom this year or not, but that anemones bloom more towards September, so that'll be something to look forward to. And I have another one tucked in right over here. That's the same, not September charm, pink saucer anemone. I have some hostas in bloom. Those are pretty. And then I cut back my bleeding hearts over here so you can see my wee hosta a little bit better. And then this is another project for another day, but look back here along my fence line. Those are all foxglove seedlings that have seeded themselves and just kind of washed under my fence here. So I would like to come in and transplant all of those into my garden. So lastly, in the backyard here, I just want to come over here and deal with a few things. One of the things I need to do is trim my hedge, my viburnum hedge, but I'm not going to do that right now. That's just too time consuming for right now. But I would like to come in and look at my roses here, maybe give them a quick trim. There's some deadheading that could be done. And my rudbeckia is looking pretty good. This is the Gold Rush rudbeckia that's really looking pretty beautiful right now. That does not need a lot of attention. And then I've just kind of been leaving my bee balm seed heads up for some interest. I think I'm going to continue to leave those up, maybe trim up that yarrow a little bit, the coneflower, and then I think we'll be done for the day. So it is now Friday morning. I started this video on Monday and I had work one day. I worked Monday and Tuesday, I believe. Wednesday, Wednesday it rained. I think it rained all day and I was unable to get out into the gardens. And yesterday I worked. And today is Friday and it is very, very hot already. It is going to be in the 90s today. It's about almost 10 o'clock in the morning. I came out and I walked the dogs first thing and did some things around the house and for the family. And I am just now getting out here. I would have preferred to get out here earlier in the morning, but we're just gonna work with what we've got today with the heat. I want to get some things done here in the front yard just to tidy things up. It's been over a week since I've really worked out here. There are things to cut back, there are weeds to pull, and we'll see what else we can get into, but things have really grown quite a bit since we've had all of the rain and the storms. That always makes things take off. This bed is looking really beautiful right now. There are so many things blooming. The zinnias are blooming right now and looking gorgeous. My raspberry ripple zinnias here in the front have completely taken off. Look at how beautiful they look right now. I planted some State Fair zinnias that are taking off, and I have some foxglove blooming that I planted in the spring. This is the purple Dalmatian foxglove blooming all throughout this border, but just everything is looking so pretty here in the beginning of August. I have some roses that are coming out again. The butterflies have finally found this garden. There's a black swallowtail in there on my red salvia. Looking so pretty. I've seen some monarchs flying around. Just such a fun time of year. So I'm going to come in and deadhead. You can see that these daisies are about done and I really need to come in and deadhead those. I already tied up an agastache that was flopping. My bleeding hearts heliopsis right there is tied up because it was falling all over, and just some general maintenance just to, get this border looking a little bit neater and a little bit tidier. Oh, my milkweed is just about out of bloom. The seed heads are forming, but holy cow, this milkweed just exploded. I just grew that from seed this year. And I don't think I'm gonna touch this side yard. I don't really have too much to do in it. This is definitely a work in progress area. Look at the anemone. They have exploded in growth. I can't believe that they came out so early. I love how they look in front of that loropetalum. My incredible hydrangeas. I may come in and just cut back this heuchera because it got completely fried from the heat and the sun. And then I know that there are a good amount of weeds. Excuse all of my cars in the driveway. There's nowhere good to put them. And I think I may fertilize this container up here and maybe just clean up my porch a little bit. This is the verbena that I planted, one single plant. It's finally starting to flush out some new blooms. But I just want to kind of get through maybe August into September, and then maybe I'll do some kind of a fall planting in this urn. These daisies have been such a great filler flower for over here, and these zinnias. I am working to divide my perennials and move them throughout this bed to kind of create just a repetition of the same plants throughout, but that's going to take a while for me to get to the point where the beds are completely filled out. So using these filler flowers like these daisies that spread so easily and prolifically have been amazing and looking so pretty. The bees are buzzing around this agastache. They love this. This is the Blue Fortune agastache right back here behind the daisies. And they attract so many pollinators with the bees and the butterflies. I just did not expect them to get so huge. So next year I'm going to come in and divide them for sure. They're kind of overtaking things. Well, my phone already overheated after maybe 5 minutes of filming, so I had to go let it cool down, and I just kept working because it is so hot. I just need to get things done as quickly as I can, but I did get all of the daisies deadheaded, and things are looking so pretty. Oh my goodness, so pretty right now. And over here, look at the zinnias. That's why I love zinnias. They're so easy to grow. And they add so much color to the garden. Oh my gosh. So pretty. And I just came around and kind of pulled some weeds and trimmed some of my daisies over here that are crowded out by my agastache. Look at how pretty some of these things are right now. Burgundy coneflower and my allium are in bloom. This is my favorite rudbeckia right now, the Viviani rudbeckia I grew from seed. I trimmed that up just a little bit. Oh, it's so pretty. And then just kind of went down the way and tidied it up a little bit. So we're gonna flip around, I think, and start over here. I just have some weeds that I need to pull. There's my trash bin and my tripod. And I think that I'm also gonna work over here. There's some pretty butterflies. In this bed, I have all of these raspberry ripple zinnias amongst my butterfly bush. And I'm just gonna kind of work at trimming those up a little bit, tidying them up, and pulling some weeds. My phone keeps shutting off on me for some reason and ending my video because maybe it's so hot. I'm not really sure, but I think I might have lost some video. That's okay. I'm just gonna trim up this purple, or not purple, this is the wildberry coneflower. I grew this from seed too. I wanna grow more of these for this bed. Right now I only have one because I had too many for another area. All right, let's see how long I can get my phone to last. It's now in the bright sunshine, but I'm just gonna come in and trim up some of the dead on this butterfly bush. These are the Lo and Behold Blue Chip Junior butterfly bushes. And they did bloom really early because they were kept in a greenhouse. I just bought them this year. So I'm thinking that next year they may like have peak bloom later on in the season than they did this year. So right now they do look pretty brown, but they have grown really nicely. These are supposed to stay compact, like maybe 18 inches to 2 feet so far. I think that they've almost reached that limit, but I'm not sure. They've grown quite a bit. So I needed to let my phone cool down again. And I kept kind of working at the butterfly bushes and pulling some weeds. And I think I'm gonna probably call it quits on these in just a minute because they are really kind of hard to deadhead. There are so many like branches and they don't branch necessarily cleanly. They're just, it's kind of like all over the place. So it's kind of hard to figure out where the new buds are forming and the old buds are. So I think I may save this for a cooler day because it is taking a while and I am just so hot and my phone isn't going to last very long. So I think I'm going to just move to the mailbox and pull a few weeds there, fertilize my verbena, and maybe tidy up my porch a little bit, and I'm going to call it a day. These are looking so pretty. Raspberry ripple zinnias everywhere. I have some boxwood back there that are super tiny still, but I really think that this little corner bed here turned out really cute for this year. One of the stars of the show right now are definitely these gold rush rudbeckia. They are so beautiful. I look out my door and I just see this bright burst of this bright cherry yellow color. I think they're so pretty. And I also see a giant weed right here. So let's get that out of the ground. Another thing I'm gonna do is take out this bean vine. This was supposed to be a purple hyacinth bean vine, but it is not. This is the same thing that I tried to grow on the side of my house and took out. I don't even know. Oh gosh, it's falling all over me. I thought that was a bug. I don't even know what it is, but this happened to me once before where it was just not a purple hyacinth bean vine, even though the package said it was, which is very disappointing because I love purple hyacinth bean vine. It's not even getting flowers like, you know, a regular bean vine would, so I don't even know what it really is, but I am taking it out for sure. It is a tough vine. Can't get it all untangled here. I would love to get a clematis for these trellises on my mailbox, something that stayed a little bit on the smaller side. I have a jolly good clematis over on that corner of my house that actually would probably be perfect if I could find that again. Okay, that job is done. And moving on to my front porch to this verbena here, I'm gonna just deadhead it a little bit and give it some fertilizer and see if I can get another good flush of flowers from it for this next month. Another cool down camera break. I mixed up my fertilizer, my Miracle Grow water soluble fertilizer. I deadheaded the verbena a little bit, and hopefully this will give it the boost it needs to start looking good again for the next few weeks. My dogs are pawing at the door right here. If you hear something funny, that's probably them wanting to get out. But I have been meaning to get rid of this Eugenia topiary for a while. It is diseased and completely bare on the right side here. And I just don't have time to deal with it or fiddle with it or nurse it back to health. So I am going to get rid of that today. I would love to get some boxwoods someday for this porch, like some boxwood topiary. I think would be so pretty, but it's just not in the budget right now. So maybe someday if I can come across some at a good price, I would love to have some up here. But I want to replace my hydrangea with some more fresh looking hydrangeas. These are really brown. These are the limetta hydrangea that I cut from my limetta bushes, my limetta hydrangeas, and I just want to freshen them up with some more limey green dried florals and blow off my porch, maybe wipe down my coffee table. I do need to do some watering on the porch, and then I think that'll be it for today, and I'm going to go in and cool off for sure. This is still my kind of plant hospital holding area. I still have this that my dog had broken off, and it's fully rooted, so I could definitely pot it up. And I have this sedum that is more than ready to get planted out. I'll do this probably this week. And I have a rabbit foot fern here that was dying inside that I'm trying to let kind of rehabilitate outside. So I'm going to leave these things on the bench, and I'm going to start cleaning off the porch floor, and then I will get to some watering, and then we'll be done. I just like to use vinegar on all of my glass. I think it works really well. It's non-toxic. Great alternative. Okay, the porch is done, watered. You can see it's still drying out, but I think that it feels a little bit cleaner and a little bit tidier. I just love this polka dot plant here. My daughter picked this out in the teeniest plug that you could buy, and it grew into that really nicely sized plant. It's so pretty. I think my hydrangeas are looking a little more fresh and nice, and everything on the porch here is looking really good. My impatiens are doing so well in this tall container right here with the wire vine. They are swallowing out the boxwood that is in there somewhere. That boxwood will get bigger eventually. And then just a little wire vine down there. Some snake plant in there. I did have some Borrelia in there that died off on me, so I probably could replace that with something. My ferns are looking good. This Streptocarpella, I need to wipe off this coffee table again. It got wet from me watering, but Streptocarpella is looking so pretty. I just love it there. And then my Redemption elephant ear is huge. The lighting isn't super great here on the porch, but it is so pretty. Just a really dark purple. The more sun it gets like a pink veining down the center of the leaf. I have some out back that have that, but this just gets a little more shade, so it's not quite as much of that pink on the leaf, but it's doing really well here on the corner of the porch. And then another sun patient and wire vine, and you can kind of see the gardens. I just really enjoy sitting out here on the porch and watching the butterflies and all of the wildlife. Enjoy the gardens. It's just a nice shady spot to sit. So I think everything's looking pretty good. Thank you so much for joining me for a week in my garden. I hope that you enjoyed following me around for the 3 days that I was able to get out in my garden here this past week after vacation. I feel like I went through just about everything and gave everything a good trim, good weeding. Although I have to say that after the storms that we had this past week, my Rose of Sharon hedge is already a disaster. It's flopping all over the place. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that hedge. It is so sad to me that I'm struggling so much with it, but I will figure it out eventually. So I have that to do maybe this next week. I'm sure there will be more cutting back and more things to do in the garden, but I hope that you guys are all doing well and that you are getting some time out in your gardens and enjoying your summer. It is quickly approaching fall, which today I am really looking forward to that because it is so hot. But I hope that you are getting a reprieve from the heat. Fall is on the horizon, and I will talk to you guys really soon. Okay, bye.